Welcome back to Up Front and our extended interview with Republican Senator Ron Johnson. Senator, let's talk about the impact tariffs are having on this state. It's something you and I have talked about on this program in the past, but yet the tariffs still continue, farmers feeling it, manufacturers feeling it. What needs to happen at this moment?
Well, first of all, let me say what I agree with this president on. There's no doubt about our trading partners have taken advantage of our generosity. We don't have fair and reciprocal treatment. Of course, China is the worst abuser and stealing all of our secrets. So I share his goal. My concern is, and didn't really have a big problem using tariffs as a negotiating tactic to bring people to the table, but the president said, Wilbur Ross said that once we have the new NAFTA, the USMCA signed, the tariffs would go away, and they haven't gone away. So I am concerned about that. And tariffs, people need to understand, they're a tax on American consumers. They're not paid for by China or Mexico or Canada. They're paid for by American consumers. And in terms of businesses, it makes American and Wisconsin businesses uncompetitive with their global competitors.
Are we losing jobs, thousands of jobs
absolutely.
in places like Wisconsin?
When President Bush did that back in the early 2000s, a study that was conducted afterwards, probably about 200,000 jobs in steel using businesses were lost for having gained maybe a few thousand jobs in the steel industry. So, I'm concerned that all we're trying to do is prop up the profitability of the steel companies, and that's a very direct benefit versus the very diffuse harm being done across the economy. And to Wisconsin businesses, we're a huge manufacturing state, and we utilize steel, we utilize aluminum, we utilize components that we're also being retaliated against on as well. So, no, this is very concerning. I don't want to do anything to undermine his negotiation, but at the same time, I think it's my responsibility. I'm compelled to make sure that his administration, Lighthizer, Navarro, the people that are negotiating this fully understand there is damage being done right now. It's costing people jobs. It's costing our businesses working capital, the ability to have money to invest and create new jobs, and actually incentivizing a lot of manufacturers to seriously consider moving their manufacturing offshore where they don't have to deal with this instability, uncertainty in these tariffs.
So you feel there's an urgent need to resolve this as quickly as possible?
Every day that goes by, it becomes a little more urgent, yeah.
I want to ask you about something the President said in his State of the Union speech last week. He referred to the investigations of alleged Russian collusion as ridiculous partisan investigations. He said in a tweet later that it was presidential harassment what was taking place. Do you agree with the President?
To a certain extent. We're listening to Richard Burr, who really was assigned the task from Senate committee.
Republican from North Carolina.
And he's the chairman of the Senate Intel Committee. And to do this investigation, you really need access to classified information that only the Senate Intelligence Committee has. He's just come out and saying, no, 2-year investigation. I would have liked it to move much more quickly than it has, but after 2 years, he sees no sign of collusion. So you kind of go, well, what's this all been about? Now, listen, these are serious issues. We should do the investigations, but from my standpoint, and the reason I was always skeptical and opposed to the Mueller investigation is I think the American people have a right to know. And they have the ability to know through congressional investigations that are always hampered when you have a criminal investigation, whether it's a special counsel or through the Department of Justice. So I think we just did this backwards. We should have had congressional investigation, made the information public. If there was sign of collusion, if there was sign of criminal activity, then you turn it over to the Department of Justice or special counsel. So this has dragged on way too long. Mike, you know the serious challenges facing this nation. A president, any administration needs to be able to concentrate its time and effort on those challenges. And this obviously has been a huge concern for the administration and distracts from their ability and time to address the more serious issues facing this nation.
Are you confident, this will be my final question, are you confident the president is always acting in the best interests of the people of this country, or is he acting in the best interests of the Trump family business?
Listen, I think the president's a patriot. I know he loves this country. I think his State of the Union address was kind of proof of that. It was more than a State of the Union address. It really was a celebration of America, of what we've accomplished, of American heroes. I mean, I thought that was a pretty inspiring State of the Union speech. I hope people can be inspired by it. I hope we do choose greatness, and I hope Democrats choose to work with this president to address these serious problems and challenges. So no, I have no doubt that President Trump really has the best interests of America as the first thing that he's really trying to accomplish.
Republican Senator Ron Johnson, good to have you back on the program. Appreciate your time today.
great to be back, and we're going to miss you.
Thanks very much. Coming up next on Upfront, 5 unions are suing over the laws that were passed during that extraordinary or lame duck legislative session. I'll be asking a union leader why they're suing and whether they can win.